Hey guys, welcome back to this YouTube channel. It's your friendly Calgary Realtor Ash, and this time you're doing a Christmas special. I am so excited to be back. It's always my favorite time of the month when the first week the report comes out. I love to be here with you guys, go through the report together, see what's happening in the Calgary real estate market. Because like I always say, education first. It's very important to know and understand what you're getting into, whether you're investing, you're buying or selling. There's different times for everyone. And in this report, we're going to look at what's right for you. So make sure you stick around till the end. And if you still have any questions, you can always reach out to me. All right, to start it off, first, let's take a look at the summary from the Calgary Real Estate Board. What do they have to say about what's been happening in November? And then we can make our own analysis as we look at the data after. So right here on the top, you can see increased listings, strong sales, and price growth. That pretty much sums up everything that's been happening in the Calgary real estate market in November. And it's nothing new because it is a trend that's been happening for a good couple months now. And that is exactly what Calgary is going through. But exceptionally, this month, new listings in November reached 2,227 units. That's nearly 40% higher than the exceptionally low levels that we had at the same time last year. So if you think it's hard finding a house now, last year it was twice as hard. Most significant gains occurred from homes priced over $600,000 though. So most probably, if you are in the market looking to buy a house, you're looking for an affordable home. And that's what Calgary is all about. That's all the headlines. So all the new listings that are coming above 600,000 is probably not very useful to you. And so even though the inventory goes up, the new listings goes up, the sales are all happening under that 600,000 mark, making it extremely tight. Inventory levels remain relatively low though, thanks to the relatively strong sales. So sales remains very strong, keeping high pressure on the inventory. So even though we have a rise in new listings, all of that goes off the market pretty quick. Sales to new listings ratios remained at a high 80%. And now I generally say anything above 85% is something we have to keep a very close eye on. But even 80% is very, very high because that really takes a lot of properties off the market. About the previous point on the inventory, what is exactly causing increase in new listings above 600,000? Your guess is as good as mine. This is a trend we'll observe over the next couple months, see what's going to be happening. And depending on that, it could be one of two things. It's either people taking profits off the table before the year ends, or it's people starting to hit those mortgage rates renewals. And then now they're realizing they either need to downsize or get out of their current home. So it could be one of these two things, could be something else. And we need more numbers before we can conclusively say why there's an uptick in new listings above 600,000. Now, like other large cities, new listings have been increasing, said Calgary Real Estate Board. However, in Calgary, the gains have not been enough to change the low inventory situation. Thanks to strong demand, our market continues to favor the seller, driving further price growth. So we remain in a very strong seller's market. As of November, the benchmark price was $572 to $700, up over the last month by nearly 11%. So year to date, the benchmark price has risen by over 5%. So again, Calgary constantly continues to get those gains. In terms of sales, we are down by 384 month over month. Year over year, though, we are up 8.8%. In terms of new listings, we are down 457 from last month, but year over year, we're up by almost 40% like we saw earlier. All right, now taking a look at the house prices across what's the benchmark price across different property types and also for total residential. So the total residential for Calgary real estate market reached $572,700. That's an increase of $1,100 over last month. Detached went to $699,500. That's an increase of $1,900 over last month. Semi-detached, guess what? Didn't go anywhere. It didn't decrease. It didn't increase. Stayed the same at $628,700. That's your benchmark price. So it's reflective of a certain house type configuration within semi-detached, and same for everything else. In terms of the rural townhouse, we are looking at $429,100. That's an increase of $3,900 month over month. And as far as your apartment prices go, it's $320,100. That's an increase of $3,500 month over month. That is a huge increase for these two property types. So as far as row and apartment prices go, it really is on a tear this year. 2023 was a year of condos, everyone getting priced out of detached and semi-detached and eventually moving down to the row and apartment prices. And even that at $430 for a row townhouse is pretty expensive compared to where we were a year ago. And so I wouldn't be surprised if apartments start ticking up even more as we head into the next year. However, if you're just going to be sitting on the sidelines and waiting and hoping for a crash, let me tell you, I don't think that's coming anytime soon, because even though the GTA, Ontario, and even Vancouver prices are decreasing, you have a lot of foreclosure sales, but in Calgary, it's a very different picture. So if you are sitting on the sidelines thinking about either investing in Calgary or planning to buy, make sure you reach out and we set you up with a game plan, because once we are in Jan, Feb, don't sleep over the holidays. Once we are in Jan, Feb, guess what? That's when everyone starts thinking about what they're going to do in spring. And then people think they're going to move to Calgary. And then that's when, even though we'll still have very low inventory, but we'll have a lot more buyers and the prices are going to soar at that time. So make sure you plan well ahead of time so you know what you're looking for, what you're going to get into the Calgary market. We can set you up, get the high hellos out of the way, and make sure you are prepared to call Calgary your home. Now, moving on, in terms of inventory, as we can see, we have a month-over-month drop of $200, and the month supply has been increasing every single month. So yes, even though there's extremely high demand, the months of supply, while extremely tight, anything under 2 is extremely tight. It did move from 1.47 to 1.67. So now we're starting to see properties sit on the market for a little bit longer. But a lot of what is this influencing these properties that are sitting on the market a bit longer are the properties that people do not want. It's either the price ranges that don't make sense, buyers trying to get the price of the summer and spring market. So things are changing. While that is the case, it's still an extremely tight market, multiple offer situations, and I've still managed to get all my buyers houses within the second, third offer that we put in. And it's all about the strategy. The strategies are different this year, and I keep saying that in every single video, so make sure you reach out and let's discuss what's best for you. Now, getting into the Calgary real estate monthly statistics for each property type. As you can see, the sales. So overall, even though new listings is up, the final inventory is still minus 4%. So compared to last year, we're still down negative minus 4%, while the sales are up 9%. So clearly, two opposing forces in the market raising the prices. Months of supply, though, is easing up, especially for semi-detached. Towns, last month, we were at 0.99, less than a month of supply for townhouses. Now we're up at 1.53. I have not seen anything increase this fast within a span of a month. But guess what? Towns still had the highest gains. So 1.53 is nowhere close to what we need for the amount of buyers looking to move into townhouses. The highest gains that we've seen over the last year, and a very, very attractive property type to get into still. Now, to take a look at the summary for each property type by the Calgary Real Estate Board, feel free to pause the screen, read it through, and see more details. I have highlighted what I think is really important to call out, and I'm going to go through those. And if you have any further questions, there's so much more details for each property type, which I'm going to release a video for each one in the coming week. So make sure you watch those, stay tuned, subscribe, and I hope you like this video if you've stayed this far. So make sure you hit that like button. All right, getting right into it. For the detached property, our limited supply choice of homes priced below $700,000 has been the primary cause for the decline in detached home sales. There's not too much selection when it comes to below $700,000. So like I said, even though there is inventory, it's not what people are looking for. Year-to-date sales have declined by 20%. Exceptionally tight conditions for prices below $700,000 and more balanced conditions for homes above 700,000. So if a home's priced above 700,000, and if that's your budget, don't worry, take your time. You can browse. Those properties are not going to go off too quick. But anything under 700,000, if you're looking something extremely affordable, those are few and far in between when it comes to detached houses. So be prepared for a lot of competition. Year-to-date gains are highest in most affordable districts of the north and northeast and east. And that's no surprise. That's just something we see every single month. And if you want to know why, reach out. I'll let you know. But those are very different markets. They don't operate the same as the rest of Calgary. It's a very different price range, different demand cycle. It's a different demographic altogether. Inventory levels are still 40% below typical levels seen in November for the semi-detached like we saw before. Conditions remain exceptionally tight, especially for homes priced below 700,000. So you're painting the same picture in semi-detached too. Now you can see that picture, that image all shifting down, that pressure shifting down from detached to semi-detached. And very soon, your townhouses are going to be at 500,000 and extremely unaffordable for a lot of first-time home buyers. Largest gains occurring in northeast and east districts, again, for semi-detached. When we look at rural townhouses, new listings rose again this month compared to last year. So the 370 new listings were met with 267 sales. That's extremely high compared to the amount of inventory we have. And for the first time since 2021, the sales to new listing ratio fell below 75%. Less than 1 month of supply for homes priced below 500,000. So this is extremely important to keep an eye on, because even though the months of supply went up from 0.99 to 1.53, that's not truly reflective of the real picture that we are seeing for townhouses. Because guess what? Anyone looking for a townhouse isn't looking for something above 500,000. They want something below 500,000. And guess what? We are still below a month. So rural townhouses, extremely high pressure for that affordable range. That is key for the Calgary real estate market, affordability. It's not a blanket picture that everything is going off fast, everything is sort of fast-paced. You really got to pinpoint where the increases are happening. When we look at apartments, year-to-date sales of 7,487, possible thanks to the growth in new listings. So because we had high number of listings in apartments, the sales were able to go and along with it, and people just absorbed all of it, leading to all the price gains. The unadjusted November benchmark price reached 320,100 in November, a monthly gain of nearly 1% and a yearly of 18%. Largest gains, again, northeast and east districts. No surprise there. Now, let's take a look at the benchmark price by area. And this is extremely important because it really breaks it up based on where you are looking to live in different parts of Calgary. So in the north, we increased by 600 month over month. So we are sitting at 548,600. In Northwest, we increased by 1,400. 1,400 is still pretty good in this market. And let me tell you, Northwest, extremely high demand. A lot of people find it very appealing to live in Northwest. You're closer to the mountains, a lot of new developments, some amazing, beautiful communities coming up there, especially a lot of townhouses contributing to those price increases. In the Northeast, month over month, we are looking at 3,400. So this is where we are seeing those gains that we keep seeing about Northeast and East. In terms of East, 7,400 increase. We are reaching for the 403,300. And as you can clearly tell, it's the cheapest part in all of Calgary. So it's no surprise that they are increasing so dramatically, because they're trying to keep up. A rising tide raises all boats, but you have to be aware, because it doesn't necessarily mean that is a good area for investment. There are a lot of things to know about Northeast and East, and it's a lot of advice that I give my clients. So make sure you reach out if you're trying to get more information on that. In terms of the city center, we have a mere increase of $600 just to 601,600. Nothing significant. It's been pretty stagnant for a while. In terms of the West, 691,700. So we increased by $5,700. Again, riding that Northwest wave, where it's super appealing to be in the West, close to the mountains. You're not completely in the Northwest. You're not getting all the all the snowstorms and hails and everything. And when we look at South was the only place where we actually had a slowdown. We reached 551,800, so that's a drop of $3,500 month over month. And as far as Southeast goes, we had an increase of $2,200. Benchmark price is up month over month, but lower than September levels. So if you remember in last month's report, we actually saw a decline. Southeast was the only place that saw a decline. I was waiting to see if that's going to be a trend and try to understand why that happened. That was probably just how the transactions were for that month. So we are starting to tick back up again in Southeast. However, we still haven't reached September levels. So September was still higher than we are right now. Moving ahead to talk about the specific stats for the different sales inventory. I'm going to quickly go over this. Feel free to pause if you want to read in more detail. Total sales was 1,787 and new listings was 2,227. The inventory was 2,984. So as you can see, even though the new listings was nearly 40% higher than last year, this time last year, we clearly have 4% lesser inventory actually overall than we did last year. So days on market went from 40 to last year to 29 now this year. And last year, our benchmark price was 517,000. This year, the benchmark price is 572,700 at the same time. So in a year, we have seen a gain across all property types of 55,000. And now, of course, if you bought a townhouse, you would have seen a lot more. Semi-detached different, detached different, but that's what you're missing out on. So that's nearly a down payment. That's like 2 down payments. So if you're waiting on the sidelines again and don't have analysis paralysis, if you just need some information to have more confidence in your decision, reach out. Let's have conversations. I'm super easy to talk to. I would love to sit down and chat, get the hi hellos out of the way, and show you what really Calgary real estate market's about, because I'm very optimistic for 2024. We just have 1 month left here now, all the way ready for Christmas, a couple of weeks away, and yeah, never know. You might get your possession on Christmas. Now, this is the price gains across different areas, across different property types. It's extremely detailed. If you want to go through this, definitely check out the link in the description, download it. I'll make the PDF available with all my notes so you can clearly see my opinions and go through all of this. And if you care about a specific property type, I'm going to be uploading videos about each property type too. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel so you know when that's out. But some things to highlight here in Southeast for detached, those where we saw the largest number of gains. For apartments, we saw the largest gains in Southeast and East. When it came to semi-detached, we saw the largest number of gains in East. And for row townhouses, we saw the largest gains in Northwest. So that's where prices are going up, appreciation is the highest, but possibly competition is also the highest. Looking at sales, really strong compared to last year, but we are still lower than 2021. 2021 was a crazy year for the Calgary real estate market, which is matched by October sales last month. Overall, a strong sales number given the winter season that we are in currently, and no surprise there. In terms of total inventory, our inventory is nowhere near enough to keep up with the sales. So as you can see, even though the sales is comparable to last year and previous year's data, when it comes to inventory, we are extremely low. So inventory is nowhere near to keep up. Over the last decade, we have never seen inventory be this low. And it's no surprise. I'm hoping more houses come on the market next year as people hit their renewals. But given the amount of demand we have, I think we still won't be able to keep up to the amount of people looking to move from other provinces. In terms of months of supply, the lower months of supply by house type, the higher amount of pressure on the prices, that is more competition. So I would say if you look at the different areas, depending on which property type you're looking for. So for example, if you're looking for an apartment in East, that's where you're going to face the most competition. Now, this can also mean that we just do not have enough buildings or enough sales data happening in that site. So there is that part to this data, but overall, it gives you a very fair picture of what's happening. For example, semi-detached, I live in Southeast, so I can tell you how accurate this is. Semi-detached Southeast, extremely low inventory. It's so challenging, and it's extremely competitive to get a semi-detached right now in Southeast. And so this data is very accurate in that. As far as the benchmark price goes, I love this graph for buyers. It's very, very important. Pause the screen, discuss it with whoever you're looking to buy a house with, or if it's just yourself, and analyze what kind of house type do you really want. Because what you can do is basically just follow these steps. Is you pick a price range first, then you pick a house type. So for example, if I say I want to buy an apartment, or let's say I want to buy a semi-detached, and the max I want to spend is maybe 400,000, where can I buy it? So if you come here and then you pick semi-detached 400,000, I can basically afford a house in Northeast, and I can afford a house in East. If I'm reaching above my budget a little bit, maybe I can try Southeast, but again, extremely high competition like we just saw, and maybe South, and then also maybe North, right? So that's how I would look at it. Those are the areas you would prioritize a little bit more higher chances of getting what you want. And then say, for example, you absolutely want to be in a different area, then maybe rethink your property type and vice versa. So now looking at the growth comparison year over year, this is the growth by areas. Obviously, you can see Northeast and East just killing it across the board with all property types. But as you can see my note here, maybe ignore Northeast and East. And people living in Northeast and East are going to be messaging me and saying why. But especially East, because the price gains are not indicative of strong, good investment choices. It's an area that has been ignored just for a long time. There are a lot of issues with living in the East, the tenancy, the rentability. There's lots of things with the East District. And so if you're looking good for something a little bit more long term, you definitely want to be looking at the other areas and don't just purely be chasing these gains, because in the longer term, you will lose out. And so if you need more advice on this, definitely reach out. Now, this is my favorite part of the video, looking at the specific graphs. So total inventory by price range. This clearly shows you how that distribution is across different price ranges. So compared to last month, and I compare this every month to the previous month because we can clearly see what's happening. So this 200,000 to 299 is what I call your entry range, and 400,000 to 499 is your first time home buyer range. And it's always these two areas. It's a trend I've been seeing month over month, that's where we see the inventory drop. So affordability and first time home buyers continue to drop, creating high pressures in those markets. So when people tell you there's multiple offers, extremely difficult, blah, 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 that's where it's happening. Everything else is relatively okay. And then when we look at 700,000 to 900,000, that's also where we're seeing a similar amount of drop. But remember that drop is across $300,000 versus here is just across 100,000, right? So it doesn't mean as much versus those entry levels and first time home buyer ranges. That's where all the inventory is just being absorbed by all the buyers. And so when we compare that towards sales, as you can see here, total sales by price range for November, all the red dashes that I've put are basically the previous month. So where do you think the buyer interest has dropped the most, right? So in terms of sales, last month we were seeing a lot of sales on this 400,000, 499,000 mark, but that's where we're seeing the largest drop. Why? Maybe, just maybe, things have just gotten more expensive. Maybe we're seeing that all the houses that used to qualify in that 400 to 500,000 range are moving up now into 500 plus. And so some people are getting priced out of the market. Some people are being forced to spend more money and go up into the market. And the other large drop is around the 600, 699. So again, same thing. Maybe those houses are actually moving into that 700,000 mark. And guess what? We saw earlier a huge amount of inventory that is coming into the market above 700,000, both for detached and semi-detached, which are useless to buyers because they're actually looking above 700,000. So we have seen a shift in the sales, and yeah, and those are all moving to 700,000 and up. This gives you a benchmark price across 2022 and 2023. You can clearly pause the screen, see what's happening, and you can see how the prices have changed across time, both the average, the median, and the benchmark price. But what I want to focus on specifically is the benchmark price has seen an increase of 52,600 since Jan, right? That's Jan this year, Jan 2023, and 79,100 since last year, Jan. So 52,000 out of that 79,000 happened this year. And so if you are still doubting, sitting on the sidelines thinking, maybe I'll wait for a little bit longer, Calgary real estate market is crazy. And I think come Jan, Feb, I'm already getting inquiries about people who are just waiting for interest rate drops. The amount of people waiting on the sidelines for interest rate drops, all of them are going to come flooding the market as soon as there's any sign of optimism, right? And you don't want to be part of that crowd. You want to be ahead of the curve, right? So you want to go where the ball is going and not be chasing the crowd. Clearly, 2023 has been a great year, and Jan-Feb is when people will start planning for next spring. So what do you think will happen then? I'll leave that to you. If you need more data, I'm here to discuss. All right, and this is something really interesting. Doesn't mean a whole lot. I track it still month over month. For November 2023, in terms of the number of sales happening, of course, the sales are dropping, right? Together with inventory, together with the new listings. But when you look at specific price ranges, we are actually seeing an increase. So 750,000 to 799,000, it went from 70 to 73. That now doesn't mean a whole lot. And 900,000 to 949,000, the number of houses sold went from 15 to 20. So that is very interesting. And from the inquiries I've been getting, the number of people reaching out to me as investors from Ontario, my prediction is that this increase is people getting into multifamilies. So people investing into Calgary, trying to get into multifamilies for that rent cash flow. It is still possible to get some really nice cash flow properties. Next year, not possible. I can already tell we are just at that brink where some properties make sense, but the price ranges on some of these properties, after you run the numbers, it just doesn't make sense. We have Calgary Total Sales. Sales year to date are significantly higher than the past decade and second only to last year. New listings are at the 10-year average, so no surprises there. And when we look at the benchmark price, this is my favorite graph. The inertia in house prices increases has slowed down with seasonality. So initially we dropped a little bit here, and I thought maybe we would just go sideways. But no, Calgary real estate market wasn't having it, and they didn't want to come down. So we just took a different trajectory, slower than previous months. So sales and inventory moving down together, but a widening gap between them. So as you can see, from here to here to here, we are dropping downwards. But so let me zoom out so you can see what it is. So you can see the sales are dropping even faster. So the gap between these two is widening a little bit, but it's nowhere close enough to create that months of supply above 2 and ease some pressure for buyers. So both are going down together, and that has maintained a good price pressure that is keeping still an upward trajectory for the Calgary real estate market. And finally, right here, talking about seasonality, you can see over the past 5 Christmases, right around this time is when you always get a subtle price drop, right? And that's exactly what we're going through right now. So this time of the year, you have a slump in the curve. However, this year, actually, we don't really have a drop. We just have the drop for that 1 month right here. But then now we're slowly trending still up. And given that we just have December to go through, and then Jan, Feb is when you're going to start seeing these upticks right here, right here, right here, right here. Guess what? The Calgary real estate market is going to heat up, and that's my prediction for 2024. Let's see if I'm right, but there's just so much pressure, so many inquiries every single day not just from first-time home buyers, but investors. There's just so much interest in Calgary real estate market, especially after what's happening to Vancouver and Ontario. And even with the Airbnb policies in Vancouver, I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the Calgary real estate market. Definitely, it's extremely hard to find rentals right now in Calgary. A lot of people are having a very hard time. And so if you get a rental property, you're going to have no issues renting it out, even if you're not sure that you want to move this year. But you can lock in that property. And then when you're ready, guess what? There's a home waiting for you right here in Calgary. So guys, that's all for this month's report. I hope you liked it. I'm always looking to improve. As you see, I have a new studio set up now. I'm crazy about lights and cameras and everything. So this stuff really does it for me. And I hope you like it. If you have any comments, I'm always looking to improve. So definitely drop those comments in the description. I will get back to you guys. I reply to every single comment. If you have any questions about the data that I've shown, again, reach out to me. Book a call. There's a link in the description. We can jump on a 30-minute call and really understand your situation. No obligations, just get you more confident about what you should be doing for your future. And then I look forward to chatting with you guys. Again, if you want this PDF, also in the description, just go click that link and I'll send it right away to your email. And you have all my comments, annotations right here. You can, guess what, collect them month over month, and then you can see, hey, Ash, you were actually wrong 2 months ago. I would love to know. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Merry Christmas. Have an amazing New Year. We're still a month away, but the next market report is going to be Jan 1st, right? So I'll see you guys in 2024. I'll put out some more content until then. I'll do some more property types and more detailed analysis. But 2023 has been an absolutely amazing year, and I hope it's been the same for you. And I'll see you guys in 2024.